Hey everyone, Mama Sniper here bringing you some wisdom and knowledge on margin trading. You as a community have been asking for this, so here we are to give you a margin tutorial. Let's get into it. Margin trading is a platform that most exchanges offer you. It allows you to leverage the funds that you have available in your account, which can help you generate larger profits than what your initial investment could, but this is only on a successful trade outcome. On the other hand, you can incur big losses if the trade fails, which will decrease your initial investment significantly and could also liquidate all of your assets. Please remember at all times, margin trading is very risky and you can get wrecked. So please make sure that you have a proper trading strategy in place before you even try to attempt margin trading. Each person will have a different trading strategy, so make sure you've got the right strategy that suits you for margin trading. Also keep a trading journal, because this will tell you if your strategies are working or not. So let's look at some pointers to help you protect your capital and start your margin trading journey. Plan your trade and trade your plan. Stick to the plan if it is going well. The plan can always change if the market changes into a negative. But if a trade is going well, do not get greedy, take your profits when you plan to, there will be more trades available. Do not FOMO into margin trading, be patient and take trades based on your TA analysis. Identify which entry points you are going to use and which time frames you are trading on. Identify your initial stop loss, plan your stop loss, and pre-plan how you're going to move your stop loss up. Identify your taking profit areas, or are you going to take multiple TP areas? Understand your risk to reward ratio. How much money are you going to lose if you get stopped out? And how much money you are expecting to make if your TP is hit. Yay! Also identify any exception points to close the trade, like if there's FUD or Bitcoin is showing weakness or you're second guessing your trade, do you have a plan B to get out of your trade? Make sure you've got basic knowledge on how to take trades and how to do technical analysis. If you don't have any experience in this field, educate yourself first. So let's get a better understanding of how the leverage system actually works. I have $100 of my own capital in an exchange. I want to take a trade with more capital, which I do not have. I borrow capital from the exchange. Most exchanges will offer you a 3x, a 5x, or a 10x in margin. So if I take $100 on a 3x, I now have $300 to trade with. I get to keep all of my profits I have made with a full $300. The same applies on a 5x. If I take $100 and I 5x it, I now have $500 to trade with. I get to keep all the profits I have made with a full $500. If I have $100 and I take it on a 10x, I now have $1,000 to trade with. I get to keep all my profits made with $1,000. Sounds great, doesn't it? But what if the market does not go in our favor and actually goes against us? We have to look at both scenarios here to understand the risks and the rewards of margin trading. If I put $100 on a 3x, I am now trading with $300. My losses are calculated on $300, which is deducted from my original $100. This is a bigger loss, and I need to watch out for my liquidation target. If I put $100 and I take 5x, I'm now trading with $500. My losses are calculated on $500, which will be deducted from my $100, which gives me an even bigger loss and moves me closer to my liquidation target. If I take $100 on a 10x, I'm actually trading with $1,000 right now. My losses will be calculated on the full $1,000, which will be deducted from my $100, which is a much bigger risk, a much bigger loss, and I have a shorter liquidation target. This is why stop losses are so important on margin trading, to avoid liquidation and huge losses. Okay, so let's have a look at how the margin trading actually works on an exchange. And today we're going to use BitGet for this tutorial. Okay, I have opened up my BitGet exchange. I have already deposited funds into my spot account, which everybody by now should know what to do. And we want to focus on the margin trading. My funds are sitting in spot account. Here you can see I've got $492 in my spot account. I want to maneuver all the way over to the side over here, and I want to transfer. So I'm going to transfer from spot. I click on the drop down box. And I have two different types of margin. I have an isolated margin account and I have a cross margin spot account. So you will need to decide what type of margin trade you want to take. Do you want to take it on cross or do you want to take it on isolated? Let's have a look at the difference between the two. In isolated margin trading, each trade you take is separate from each other. Each one has their own risk meters, they all have their own liquidation level. The one trade does not affect the other. Profits are usually locked, which means profits cannot be used as the trade is isolated. Less risky, if one of your trade goes wrong, it doesn't really affect your other trades in margin. So basically they're a standalone trade responsible for themselves. Whereby in cross margin, all your trades in margin are linked and it's seen as one account. If you have multiple trades open in margin and one trade is in a loss, it will affect all the trades in your cross margin account. If one trade drops drastically, it takes funds from the other trades to make up the losses, and this can liquidate all of your open trades in margin. If the trade is going well and you are making profits, the profits become available and you can reuse the funds and reinvest them if you want to. But I suggest you do not do this. If you do this, you are going to increase your entry price, you're going to increase your liquidation price, which is a little bit more riskier and you have probably got more of a chance of being liquidated. The best scenario in cross-margin trading is to get as far away as possible from your entry price and as far away as possible from your liquidation price, which is less riskier and it just gives you space to just breathe. Okay, so now we come back to our spot account. We will maneuver over here to the three little circles on the side and we want to transfer. So we are going to transfer from our main spot account. And we have two options, as we just discussed, the isolated margin or the cross margin. Let's start off with the cross margin. I am going to select cross margin. I want to transfer US dollars into my cross margin and I am going to put in $100. The $100 is then taken off of my spot balance. If we now move on to the left side here, you can see margin trading. Now we want to go back into our margin trading account because that $100 has moved into there. So we'll click on margin and you can see $100 is sitting in our margin account. I want to take a cross margin, so I will click on cross margin over here and I want to now borrow money on this cross margin. So my dollars is sitting here. I'll maneuver across to the side under borrow and I'll click on the borrow. This little page will open for me and this is where a page where you can borrow or you can repay. So we want to borrow, we're going to click on borrow and we want to take a cross margin trade, so we're going to click on cross. We're going to borrow USDT. It already gives me my hourly interest rate. It's telling me my available balance is $100 and it gives me my maximum borrowing amount, which would be $199 because there's fees deducted from here. And if I now borrow $199, it's going to give me $300, which is my 3x. So I'm going to say maximum. Please just remember, only borrow this money when you are ready to take the trade, because if you borrow this money, you are going to start paying interest on it. So first do your TA and know what you want to trade, then come and borrow the money. If you want to learn more about the borrowing rates and the limits, you can just click on the actual bar here and it will open up a separate page which gives you your interest rates, daily, hourly interest rates, depending on how long your trade is going to be open. So let's get back to the margin trade. Okay, so now we go back to our borrowing page. We are now going to maximize that $199 and we are going to say confirm. Now we wait and we see it's going to calculate it here for us. And there we go. We now have $300 to trade with. So I've only put $100 of my own capital in here, but I now have $300 to trade with. Now let's get into the trading side of it. So here on the side, you'll see it says trade. We click on trade. For this tutorial, I have not done any TA. I am literally taking a trade just to show you how to use this platform. So please do not think that this is a trade I'm giving anybody to do. So if we move to the right hand side of the page, you'll see we've got our buy and our sell. We want to buy because we haven't bought yet. We've already 3x'd our $100. You can see down at the bottom here, it shows maximum size $300 that I can actually buy in with. So I'm only risking $100 of my own money, but I can buy with $300. So we are on Bitcoin. I'm going to do a market buy because I want to buy now. I want to open up an Ethereum trade as well. So I'm only going to put 50% of the money in, which is $150 over here. And I'm going to buy Bitcoin. I am then going to confirm, and it has bought my Bitcoin for me. So then we'll come to position over here. I'll click on position and I can see my Bitcoin position is opened up over here. My index price was 71,055. I have 0.002 Bitcoin, and my estimated liquidation price is at 33,114. I immediately, straight away, want to put a stop loss in for this position, because remember, risk management is so important here. And if I have a look at the chart, I would like to put a stop loss underneath the previous low. If you don't know how to do a stop loss, please refer to one of our other tutorials that'll teach you how we put stop losses in place. I want to put my stop loss in at around 70,800. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to push my sell button. I'm going to click here on OCO, which gives you an option to put in a take profit or a stop loss over here. So I want to put in a stop loss. So I know my trigger price is at around 7,800. So my trigger price I'm putting in at 70,800, and the actual price, the lowest I want to sell it at, is 70,700. I'm then going to put it on 100% because I want them to close the whole entire position at that stop loss. If I scroll down, I double check my position over here. Always double check what your position size actually is and compare it to the position size they're giving you in the actual stop or take profit limit area, because sometimes the exchanges will put a maximum in there and put you into an actual short instead of just a sell position. So I'm happy, both of my balances are fine, and I'm going to say sell my Bitcoin if it actually gets down to that price range. That is a protection mechanism to make sure I do not get liquidated and I protect my capital. If I come to open orders over here on the left hand side, I go to TP and stop loss. I can see my stop loss is pending and it is waiting for any drop in the market to protect me and get me out of that. Okay guys, now you know how to do a cross margin trade. Let's have a look at isolated trading. So I'm now back in Spot Wallet. I'm going to go back to the same place over here with the 3 dots, and I'm going to say transfer. Now I want to transfer from my spot to my isolated margin spot account. Now this is a little bit different. If you can remember, on cross it gave us just a USDT that we could send across, which meant my USDT I could use as freely as I wanted to in cross. Isolated is a little bit different. You actually have to select the pair that you want to trade in isolated margin. So I want to trade Bitcoin USDT again. So my pair that it's going to send the money to is Bitcoin USDT, which means if I transfer this money across, I can only buy a Bitcoin trade with this USDT, because in isolated there is a individual wallet for every single pair. Select a coin. I am going to select USDT. But the reason why it's giving you a USDT or Bitcoin is because you could actually short in a isolated margin spot, but we'll get back into that a little bit later in the tutorial. So let's transfer USDT across, and I want to transfer another $100 into my isolated trading account, and you push confirm. If I come back to my margin account on the left hand side here, I click on margin, click on isolated margin over here. Now you can see here's all my different pairs, but I only have $100 available inside the Bitcoin USDT. I now want to borrow, so I'm going to click on borrow. I want to click on borrow on the top here, and we are now in isolated, no longer in cross. My trading pair is Bitcoin USDT, and I don't want to borrow Bitcoin, I want to borrow USDT, so I will click on USDT. Again, it calculates for me my interest rate, which is 0.002%. My available balance is 100. I haven't borrowed anything yet. But now if you can notice, now it wants to borrow me $894. Reason being is that isolated is less riskier, so they will give you up to 10x on a isolated margin trading rather than a cross. Cross, the maximum they would give us was a 3x. Now they want to borrow us some more money. So here I can select how much I want to use. You don't always have to use it all. If you only want to trade on a 3x, you only select the amount of money for a 3x. The more you borrow, the more interest you pay. So just decide beforehand how much you want to borrow. For this case, we are just going to go 100% for now, so that I can show you how it works. So let's push confirm. There we go. As you can see, we are now, I've got in my Bitcoin USDT wallet, I now have $985 to trade with. I'm only risking $100 of my own cash, but the exchange is giving me an extra, let's call it $900, and they've taken fees off, which is leaving me with a balance of $985. I'll move across to the right hand side here and I'll push trade. Okay, it's showing me here I am on isolated, so I want to buy. I'll select market. You can go put a limit ordered in, so I want to market buy for the sake of this to open it now. Again, guys, please, I have not done any trade TA on this chart. I do not know if it's the right time to buy Bitcoin, so do not think I'm giving you a buy signal. I'm just taking a trade, a risky trade, just to show you how to do how to use the margin trading. We are going to close these trades shortly as well. So now I'm here under my market and I decide how much I want to buy right now. I don't have to use it all. I can buy 25% now, 25% later. All depends on your TA and what you are feeling for the day. So let's select 50% and I'm going to say buy Bitcoin. I'm going to confirm my buy. So I'm buying with $500, $479 to be exact. And I click on my position and it will show me my isolated long. So my liquidation price, my position price, and my profit price will then reflect here. My liquidation price is sitting at 62,995. My position size is 479 currently. I don't have any return on investment because we just opened a trade. My index price is 71,193. And this was the cost position price. Currently I'm sitting with 0.006 Bitcoin. Okay, so now we're back to the spot account. As you can see, I've only used $200 of my own money. I still have $300 in my spot account, but if I click on margin, I am now trading with a total of $1,300 in my margin account. So by the way, if you haven't noticed, we did put a stop loss in the cross margin, but we have not put a stop loss in the isolated margin. So just remember to put your stop losses in play. So as I said, we are now trading with $1,286. If I click on my cross margin over here, I've now got my balance and I've got my trades. I can see what my P&L is for today, or I can click on the analysis and it will give me all my P&L and an analysis for whichever days I want to see, or weeks or months. You can see here my cross margin, I'm trading with $301. My assets is $100 and my debt that I have to repay is $200. If I click on an isolated margin over here, I can now also see that I'm trading with $985. My assets is only worth $99.47 and my debt is $885. So guys, now I want to show you how to short in margin. So instead of using dollars, we are going to use a token. So I've got a little bit of Ethereum here in my spot account. I've got $100 and I'm going to show you how we short in margin here. I'm going to go across to the side again and I'm going to click on transfer. And I want to transfer from my spot account to my isolated margin account. Over here, I'm going to select my Ethereum and I want to transfer Ethereum, not USDT. I'm going to take my 0.02 Ethereum. I'm going to say max and I'm going to transfer that through to my isolated margin account because I now want to borrow more Ethereum from them. So now what I do is I go to margin. I can see here is my Ethereum over here. My 0.2 is in my isolated margin account. And I move across to borrow and I click on borrow. I want to borrow and I'm in isolated. My trading pair is Ethereum, my coin is Ethereum, and it is now showing me that I can borrow up to 0.228 worth of Ethereum. I currently only have 0.02 Ethereum in here, but I can almost 10x loan Ethereum over here. And I just say I want to borrow so much Ethereum and I say confirm. So the idea behind shorting in margin is you want to hold a token like Ethereum. You then want to borrow more Ethereum because you think the market's going to go down now. You think the price of Ethereum is going to go down. So you borrow more Ethereum. Then you go sell that Ethereum and you hold the dollars rather. When the price drops, you will rebuy back as much Ethereum as you can and then go and pay back your loan of Ethereum, and you get to coin the rest of the Ethereum that you actually made. So let's have a look what that looks like on the actual trade. I come back over here to my Ethereum and I go to trade. So now I go trade. So I can, if I come down to my assets, I see I have 0.254 Ethereum right over here. I want to sell that Ethereum because I think Ethereum is going to go down. Please guys, I have not done TA. I do not think Ethereum is actually going to go down. I just want to do this for the sake of teaching you how to do it. So we might close out in a little bit of a loss here. So I go to sell, I say market. I've got 0.257 available. I go 100% and I move this Ethereum and I put it into cash and I go sell. It tells me my quantity, my available balance, what my current loan is, and all of that. And I can just say confirm over here. Now I can see my assets is sitting at $991 over here. And that is how you enter a short on margin. Okay, so now we're back to the main page. As you can see, on my isolated margin, I have a Bitcoin margin trade open, right? This is my total balance, but I have borrowed $885 in dollars and I have to pay back USDT on that one. The trade we just took now for shorting, I have to pay them back in Ethereum. Even though I've sold the Ethereum and it's sitting in dollars, I don't pay them back in dollars. I have to pay them back the right amount of quantity of Ethereum to pay up this loan. So this is why you want the price to drop, so you can buy back at a cheaper price and you can then just keep the rest of the Ethereum that you bought with buying back at a lower price. So that's the whole principle behind shorting on a margin trade. So I just want to show you quickly how we are going to close this Ethereum trade, and we are going to pay back our loan in Ethereum. So if I come back to trade, and we are now going to buy back Ethereum because I turned it into dollars. So I now want to buy. So if I scroll down, I can see there's my dollars sitting there. So I'm going to go buy market. And I'm going to use all that dollars and I'm going to buy my Ethereum back and I can confirm it. I can then go back to my position over here. Here's my Ethereum trade over here. And if I go back to my assets over here, here's my Ethereum assets over here. I can manually borrow or repay over here, or I can do a one-click repayment over here. So let's go to one-click repayment. It tells me what my debt is. It explains the whole entire process. You guys can just read this as you go. It explains how they calculate the debt. I just say confirm. I want to pay back my debt. Okay, and it has now, there you can see it has actually closed that whole entire trade off. So for the sake of this tutorial, I want to close these trades. I know I've put a stop loss in place in one, but let's close these trades and let's show you the liquidation marks and how to close these margin trades. Okay, so we are back in our cross margin Bitcoin trade over here. I want to bring your attention down to this margin risk ratio at the bottom here. So here's a little speedo which tells you if you're in the green. Green means you're still low risk. When it moves on to orange, it means you are heading for higher risk, and when it's in the red, it's make a plan, get out of the trade or add more liquidity, but you are at risk of being liquidated. So if we click on here, it will tell you every single exchange is different. So just make sure you understand how your exchange works. Some exchanges work on percentages out of 100%. Margin calls will be when your trade reaches 95%, but for BitGet they work off a margin call ratio of 0.80, and if it reaches 1 it'll be liquidation. So just keep an eye on this tab at the bottom here. Very, very important. You don't want to get liquidated. So what is liquidation? Liquidation is where the exchange takes all your money. So make sure you don't get liquidated. Watch your risk ratios, and if you don't understand liquidation, join Sniper School, the link is below, or go back to one of our other tutorials that we have. But make sure you understand the risks with every single exchange before taking these trades. Okay, so now we know where to look for our liquidation levels. Let's close these trades and get our money back in our spot wallet so we know how to remove our money safely. Because I see if we go onto a 15 minute chart over here, let's just say for the sake of it, market's coming down a little bit, let's close these trades. So I go sell, I go market, 100%, 0.0, make sure the amounts are the same. Okay, it's close enough because of fees and differences. There we go, 213, and I now sell my Bitcoin. And I can confirm. Let's now go to our isolated trade. And let's close our Bitcoin position in isolated. So we want to do a market sale. We want to click on 100%, but if I have a look, that amount is a little bit more than what my actual Bitcoin asset position is over here. So let's just change that. You want to put the exact amount in, 673326. And then we go sell and we confirm it has now sold it. So let's go back to our assets page. You can see my Ethereum over here. There's my balances, and I do not owe anything because I have paid that back. So I lost a little bit of Ethereum, but that is because the market was not going in my favor of shorting. Now I want to repay. I've got a total debt of $885. I want to repay this debt and I want to move my money back into spot. So now I will come to, I want to do my isolated margin, which I've got a Bitcoin borrow. I'm going to say repair. And we're going to repay our isolated. So we're on repay, isolated. The pair was Bitcoin USDT. I'm repaying my USDT because we borrowed USDT. Here it tells me my available balance is 984. I borrowed 885. This is my interest that I'm going to pay on this trade. This is my total liabilities and my minimum repayment. So I want to maximize it. I want to repay everything and I want to say confirm. Okay, so we are back in our margin account and I can click on cross or isolated, and all I have to do is transfer my funds back to spot account. So we can just swap that around now because I want to send the dollars from my cross to my spot, and I say max and I say confirm. So that wraps up the margin trading. Trade safe, trade wisely, enjoy your trading, and enjoy Sniper School. The link is below, where you will learn a lot more and you will join a great community.